If you're selling a home you've owned for decades in Tom's River Brick, the line that shocks most sellers isn't the agent fee. It's the state tax line on the closing statement you didn't plan for. Here's what you'll get from me in the next few minutes. First, you'll see where the surprise comes from on a real Ocean County closing sheet and how a simple timing decision about your residency can trigger a big withholding. Second, you'll understand in plain wallet language how the home sale game rules and New Jersey's transfer fee actually hit your proceeds and what counts as an improvement versus just upkeep. Third, you'll get a local game plan so your right size move into a 55 plus community in Toms River, Point Pleasant Beach, or La Valette isn't derailed by a tax bill you didn't see coming. Let's bridge into the risk. When you list, you're focused on price, timing, and getting into your next place. But at the closing table in Ocean County, the state collects a transfer fee from the seller, and if you're considered a non-resident on the day of closing, there could be a separate withholding that people call an exit tax. It isn't a second tax, but it does come out of your check. If you haven't gathered proof of the money you put into a roof, siding, or an addition, your gain can look larger than it should. And if your closing lands up against a property tax due date, the proration can tilt against you. Most sellers don't feel any of this until they see the final numbers. By then, you're under contract, your buyer's lender has a lock that's expiring, and your move-in date at the 55 plus community is set. One line on a closing sheet shouldn't dictate your retirement move, but it can. My goal is to pull that forward so you can decide calmly with the right people in place. I spent 21 years as a broker in Ocean County. If you're under 55 or outside Ocean County, this won't be a fit. This is specifically for our local 55 plus sellers and buyers weighing a retirement stage move. This catches sellers because most of the heavy math is backloaded. You negotiate your contract, you satisfy inspections, and the big deductions appear when the settlement agent runs your final statement. New Jersey's transfer fee sits there waiting for you as a seller. If you've changed your legal residence before the closing day, maybe you switched your license and moved your mailing address to another state, New Jersey treats you as a non-resident and requires a withholding. The label sounds dramatic, but it's really a prepayment that the state uses to make sure it collects what it's owed. Long-held Ocean County homes build a lot of paper gain. That's good for equity, but it raises questions about what portion is taxable. The law allows many homeowners to exclude part of their gain on a primary residence, yet the exclusion has limits. If your net gain is above that level, the coverage can be taxable. That's where documentation matters. Money spent making the home better, like a permitted addition, new windows, or a bulkhead, can potentially reduce the taxable gain, while routine maintenance like a simple paint job usually doesn't. If you haven't kept records, the numbers look harsher. There's another reason it sneaks up on you. Property tax and utility prorations are timing sensitive. If you close just after a quarterly property tax due date, you may owe your buyer a credit for the time they'll own the home that you already paid for, or vice versa. Those swings can feel like a surprise because you chose a date for move logistics, not for tax math. In an HOA or condo, you also have association due cutoffs that can look like taxes on paper but aren't, adding to the confusion. Put this together and you have a stack of last week items that change your bottom line after you've emotionally committed to your next address. Here's the plain English version of what's in play. New Jersey collects a realty transfer fee from the seller when a deed is recorded. It's a standard seller cost here. Separately, at closing, the state requires the seller to sign residency paperwork. If you're classified as a non-resident on the day of closing, the state requires a withholding based on your gain or a minimum formula. Many people call that the exit tax. It's not a penalty, it's the state ensuring collection. If you're a New Jersey resident through the day of closing, that non-resident withholding doesn't apply. On the federal side and in New Jersey's income tax world, many homeowners qualify for a home sale exclusion when it's been their primary residence for a sufficient period. That can shield a significant portion of gain. Once your gain goes beyond that exclusion, the extra can be taxable. How much is a tax question? What counts as a capital improvement that increases your cost basis, and what counts as a personal property or property maintenance is also a tax question. Your CPA or tax preparer should make that call. It isn't something a real estate broker determines. You'll also see standard recording charges and title fees, which are not taxes but appear near tax lines on your statement. In higher price sales, buyers can face their own transfer surcharges separate from your costs. That buyer side item can influence negotiations even though it's not your fee. The takeaway is simple. The rules exist, they're enforceable at closing, and your proceeds are impacted by how you document your improvements and how you manage your residency status through the closing date. That's why a calm, early read saves stress later. Let's ground this in Ocean County. Picture two sellers in Brick who bought their homes long ago. Both are moving into 55 plus communities. Seller A keeps New Jersey residency active until the deed records. Mail goes to the Brick house, driver's license unchanged, tax preparer on alert. Their closing statement shows the normal state transfer fee and standard settlement costs, and that's it for the state lines. Seller B, excited for a warm weather relocation after closing, forwards mail out of state early, changes the driver's license, and moves the last week before settlement. On closing day, New Jersey treats seller B as a non-resident. Title has to collect the withholding at the table. The buyer is ready, the truck is loaded, and seller B leaves with less cash than planned. The withholding may reconcile later when taxes are filed, but that doesn't help the wire needed for the new place. Here's another local wrinkle. Our towns bill property taxes quarterly. In Toms River, Brick, Seaside Heights, Point Pleasant Beach, and Lavalette, closings often land near a due date because that's when movers, attorneys, and association offices have availability. A date that fits your schedule can produce a property tax proration you didn't expect. It's not wrong, it's just clock math. If your HOA or condo dues renew on the first of the month, that credit or debit can sit next to tax lines and look like one big government charge. Active adult communities here span single-family HOA neighborhoods, patio home clusters, townhomes, and condos. In a single-family HOA, the association doesn't pay your property tax. It handles roads and amenities. In a condo, the association manages shared elements, but that still isn't your property tax. Keeping the buckets separate, state fees, income tax rules, property tax prorations, and HOA items protects your net and your blood pressure. Before you go to market, ask for a draft seller net sheet that includes New Jersey's transfer fee and ordinary closing charges. This isn't a commitment, it's a flashlight. When you see the lines early, you're calm later. Then start pulling the paper trail that strengthens your cost basis. Permitted additions, window replacements, a new roof, siding, or a bulkhead, anything that extends life or adds value, belongs in a folder. Routine upkeep like gutter cleaning or interior paint usually doesn't move the needle. Your tax professional decides what qualifies, but you can do the gathering so that decision is fast. If your home was ever a rental, or if you claim business deductions for a portion of it, bring that up with your CPA. Past deductions can echo as tax adjustments when you sell. It's better to hear that now than from a closing statement. Also, consider whether your home clearly meets primary residence standard. If you maintained another residence or were away for extended periods, your CPA can help you understand how the rules apply. Finally, decide on how you'll handle residency through the day of recording. If you're moving within Ocean County into a 55 plus community, remaining a New Jersey resident until the deed is done is usually the simpler path. If you're moving out of state, timing matters even more. You don't need to solve this alone. You just need it on the radar before a buyer is on the hook. Once you're under contract, watch for a packet from Title that includes New Jersey residency forms. Read the cover sheet so you know what they're asking. If you plan to change residency before closing, pause and call your tax professional about the withholding rules. Title and your attorney follow the forms. They don't set tax policy, so the right answer lives with your CPA. Talk with your closing team about timing and prorations. If your preferred settlement date sits right after a quarterly property tax due date, ask how that might affect the credit or debit. You may still choose that date for a dozen good reasons, but you won't be surprised by the math. In a 55 plus HOA or condo sale, confirm the association dues, paid through date, special assessments, and any transfer or move fees so you don't mistake these items for tax charges. They live in a different bucket even if they sit on the same page. If you're classified as a non-resident on closing day, the state requires withholding. Some sellers ask their CPA whether an estimated gain method or a certificate process can reduce the amount. That's a tax conversation, not a real estate one, and it needs lead time. My role is to keep the path clear so you can get to the right person quickly, not to interpret the forms for you. Carry this mindset into your move plan. If your net wire is lower than expected because of a state line, do you have a cushion for deposits at your 55 plus community or for moving costs? A small buffer removes a lot of last week pressure. This all flows into your exit. Buyers and their lenders want clean timelines. If a last minute withholding question pops up, you risk a delayed closing or pressured renegotiation over per diem charges, rate locks, and occupancy. You're also likely buying your next home at the same time. If your wire is lighter because of a state line, or a larger than expected proration, that can squeeze the funds you planned for your 55 plus community deposit or the movers. You don't want to be choosing between keeping the deal together and protecting your retirement cushion. In Ocean County, buyers are used to seeing our transfer fee on the seller side. What throws them is uncertainty. When your paperwork is buttoned up, the buyer reads confidence and momentum. When it's not, they read risk and may ask for concessions to offset timing or perceived exposure. Even if you have ample equity, the way that equity converts to cash is what dictates your move. Plain numbers sell certainty. And remember, the wrong residency move at the wrong time can take money out of your pocket at the table. You might get it back at tax time, but that's months away and doesn't help the day you're supposed to get keys in Toms River or Lavallette. The goal is a straight line from contract to close so your right-size plan isn't thrown off by a preventable surprise. Here's how we make this calm. A local market rate for Ocean County means we map your ideal closing window against property tax cycles. We ask title for an early draft of the seller statement so you can see New Jersey transfer fee and standard charges. And we build a simple folder of your improvements so your tax professional can do their work quickly. If residency or gain questions come up, we don't guess, we loop in your CPA or tax preparer right away. My role is to know these Ocean County communities well enough to tell you when something needs a closer look and who should do that looking. When a tax form or a closing statement raises a question that belongs with an attorney or a CPA, I tell you that directly and help you get to the right person without wasting time. That local knowledge combined with the right team around you is how your equity stays protected. If you want a low friction next step, I've put together a one-page starter checklist you can use to gather documents and spot the state lines on a draft closing sheet. Search my channel for Ocean County 55 plus transfer fee and you'll find the follow-up videos that walks through a sample statement line by line. When you're ready to talk live, start the conversation at ourshorerealestate.net.